everybody, second video since my little 5-month hiatus, and I'm so excited because this is a topic that so many of you guys have asked for. Today I'm gonna talk about how to transition from macros, following If It Fits Your Macros, into intuitive eating. So once again, intuitive eating to me is not living by numbers, really listening to your body's true hunger and fullness signals and cues, and feeding your body, fueling your body the way that it asks for. Now this is really difficult for people who have struggled with eating disorders, including myself, which is why this transition was so important to me, also very difficult, and I expressed that to you guys through Instagram and through my past YouTube videos, and it's really tough. We need to control our food. It feels comfortable. Your unhealthy relationship with food causes you to feel like you need to count everything. You're afraid to get fat. You're afraid that if you don't follow these numbers, you won't hit your goals. So many other concerns and worries regarding food. So tracking kind of feels like the answer. Now with intuitive eating, you have zero control mechanisms, really. You can't feel completely secure that you ate enough, or you ate too little, you're eating too much. You just don't really know, and feeling out of control with that makes you feel out of control. It makes you really anxious, makes you very nervous, makes you really insecure about your body, and it does make you kind of confuse yourself with food for a while. What I'm gonna talk about is a couple tips that really helped me, and I just want you guys to know that the transition from tracking your food and controlling all of that to absolutely doing that not at all is nearly impossible to do very quickly. If you think about it, you've been doing probably this for a long time, even before you learned about If It Fits Your Macros, MyFitnessPal, when you were younger. If you have struggled with food before, in your mind you were like, oh, this has this much calories, or this much fat, this much protein, this much carb, and you really were picky about that and very much controlled it. So these habits aren't just, you know, within the last year of you tracking that you can't get out of. It's kind of like a lifetime of struggle when it comes to trying to control portions, numbers, whatever. So let's get into it. One small step that really helped me when I first tried to stop tracking was to just take one day off from tracking, and that was just like, oh my gosh, how could I possibly go a whole day without doing that? If that's too hard for you, do one meal once a week that you don't track. It sounds small, but for me personally, I had so much anxiety and so much stress with just not knowing for that one meal. You know, I've really struggled with anorexia, binge eating, body image, unhealthy relationship with food my entire life. When I was 10, I had anorexia, didn't recover fully, developed binge eating. It skews your entire perception of your body and food. So try that once a week, don't track. If that's too much, do one meal once a week. Or if you can do more, 2 meals once a week. You really need to embrace that this is going to be a journey, and give yourself enough love, compassion, and patience to know that it will take a while, and these little steps are extremely significant. They are huge goals. So that's just a small tip, but the biggest thing I find to be most important when it comes to food and body image, whatever it is regarding all of these kinds of topics, is focus on your mental health. You really need to feel your feelings. And when it comes to food and your body, the anxiety, the stress, the worry about how much you're getting in, how much energy you're expending, it really has to do with your insecurities about your body and your emotions, and you really need to be conscious of those and let them emerge instead of you just pushing them away and worrying and really thinking it's all about the food and your workouts. It's really not. It's really not just about that. What you need to do when you are trying to transition from macros and counting to intuitive eating is really pay attention to yourself, your true body's hunger and fullness signals, and the feelings that come with it. Discover your physical hunger. When I started intuitive eating, I still, to this day, it is hard. I struggle with really feeling that true hunger, because a lot of us have tried this many meals a day, or hoarding our macros to eat them at a certain meal or something, controlled by all these numbers. And when I just had to go by my hunger, I was like, oh gosh, I'm so scared to overeat. I'm so scared to binge. You know what? That will happen. Don't be afraid of that. If you struggle with binging and overeating now, who cares if you struggle with it during your journey to not be controlled by these numbers and macros and that stressful lifestyle that you clearly are trying to get out of. When you discover that physical hunger, you will be able to distinguish hunger from other feelings that cause you to eat too much or binge, like sadness, loneliness, boredom, anger, whatever things that drive you to be very vulnerable when it comes to food. If you really let your body's signals tell you when it's time to eat eat, you'll be able to distinguish those, separate them, and eat when you are hungry. And the binging will become less, because a lot of times when you're controlled by numbers, you also feel really stressed out. And when you hit your macros, you're done with them, and you're still hungry. A lot of times in the past, I know that I would have just been like, ugh, whatever, I'm still hungry, I'm gonna eat. And then I kept eating and eating and eating. And that turned into binging. So the macros definitely did work for me for a long time. I learned a lot about my body and how much I could intake. For me, I started getting stressed out. And I think this is happening a lot in the fitness community, in the world in general of Instagram and YouTube, and just people, young people, old people. It's becoming something where people want to feel freedom again with their bodies and food, and honestly free their minds. The third thing is very important to me. I kind of had to become very vulnerable and admit this to myself when I was transitioning away from macros and counting into intuitive eating. I realized that I became so antisocial because I tracked everything I ate. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. When I was tracking everything I ate, controlling everything, weighing things to the gram, using MyFitnessPal a million times a day, I definitely excused myself from a lot of social situations and really made excuses for myself, trying to convince myself that I really liked what I was doing, that I didn't need to be social, I didn't like certain foods, I didn't want to spend money, I didn't want to hang out with these people. Yeah, to a certain extent those things could be true, but I was really in denial. When I finally admitted that to myself, it felt a little shameful, but it felt really freeing to finally say, yeah, you really do want to go out and you don't always want to track your food. Like, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. My next tip is just to be more social. When you're fulfilled by social situations, yes, when they're with food, they cause a lot of anxiety, but when you have a more lively life and things to do and people to spend time with, you need less of that controlling mechanism of counting all your food. I missed out on a lot of living, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I developed a lot of social anxiety when I was tracking because I was in my own little world. And when I decided to start intuitively eating and step away from MyFitnessPal, being on my phone all the time and tracking everything on a scale, I was like, wow, I'm really practicing being social, and it's really fun, and I'm living a life that I always dreamed about, even if it was in the back of my head. You know, subconsciously, I really always wanted that. So definitely get out more, be more social, and you'll feel that fulfillment from friends and food and people and just being in the world. Lastly, the most important part is do not beat yourself up, because the transition to intuitive eating will be a long, difficult process. You will fall many times. But the cool thing is that you have enough confidence and drive and motivation to want to pick yourself back up and really free yourself from these numbers, from these controlling behaviors. You have a goal, and it is so good for you. It is a positive, new, free lifestyle that you are going to have, but it will be a struggle to get there. But what isn't? What is it difficult to achieve, right? Don't give up. It's okay to give up sometimes. If you go back to tracking every day for months and months because it's so hard for you, that's okay too. Changes only happen when you're ready. And I don't want you guys to be complacent and give up easily, but I don't want you to force yourself when you're not ready to do something. That would cause a lot of anxiety and fear and probably drive you to do your controlling behaviors even more. Just be really patient and compassionate with yourself. Start with not tracking one meal, start not tracking with one day, and really believe that you will get there one day. It took me probably 6 months to a year. I had a lot of fluctuations. I would go back into tracking, not take a few days off, do it on. I don't think there's anything wrong with tracking. I think it's great to be aware of what you are eating, how much your body can handle, and really care about your nutrition. But for a lot of people who are asking how to get out of it, it's because you feel very trapped. And I totally know the feeling, because that's where I was. I really hope this video helped a little bit. This is just a little overview. I would love to go more in depth with it. If you guys have specific questions, go ahead and comment below so I can go more in depth about the steps or certain aspects of transitioning, because it's really difficult. Just know that it is possible. I did it, never thought I could do it, and you've got it. I promise. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself to live a better life. If you're watching this, you're a little bit closer to ready than you might think. You're seeking help, you're seeking advice on how to transition. That's pretty freaking amazing. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you did like it, please hit the like button. If you have any comments, comment below, and subscribe for more videos, because I promise more coming. Love you guys. Bye.
I'ma change your life, I'ma change it.
Yeah.
I'ma change your life. I'ma change your life, I'ma change it.
Hustle gang,
I'ma change
homie.
your life.